Hey there, AJ Mahar here. You somebody who's been really hurt by somebody with BPD or NPD in a relationship, or someone you suspect has BPD comorbid NPD. I'm going to be talking to them a lot more about that coming up, maybe more on the podcast than on the channel here. But what I want to let you know again is you really need to consider what I'm saying here is it's not helpful to people with codependency to keep trying to parse and delineate, is this BPD or is this NPD? Because there is an overlap between BPD and NPD, but they are two clinically separate entities. And so if you can't figure that out for yourself, or you still don't want to believe that, or you still wonder if they're BPD, NPD, most aren't, and BPD is not a form of NPD. And so what are you going to gain out of chasing after information about was it this, was it that, and thinking that every time a person with BPD splits, they're psychopathic or they're sociopathic or they're this or they're that? No, they're not. The splitting is a major defense mechanism in borderline personality, and it is housed within borderline personality. There's a lot of incorrect information out there for a multitude of reasons. But the bottom line is the American Psychiatric Association has not done scientific studies. They are not replicated, they are not challenged, they are not allowed to be critiqued by other psychiatrists in the field of psychiatry. Psychiatry is not a science, and unsettled science is not science. And so people get online on the YouTube channels and they read, in a few of them, they read the APA pseudoscience studies, and then other YouTubers don't know what they're talking about in the first place. I'm not saying there's a plethora of them, but there's a few. They then start repeating all this other stuff so that they are just saying the most erroneous things. And it seems like the more people hear the most erroneous things, the more they gravitate to the really ridiculous, inane, inaccurate information out there. Why is that, I wonder? And you know, if you're watching or listening to my videos here, and then you're going over to a channel where there's obviously not much correct happening, how do you make that shift back and forth? What are you looking for? How much are you as a codependent still externalizing out the reality that you're still trying to deny? That this person with BPD, no matter what you think about them, or if you want to try to fuse them into NPD, or you listen to YouTubers that say it's all the same, which it isn't, then how's that going to help you? People with codependency. I don't know what to say here because, you know, I don't want to just be a pawn in the YouTube echo chamber like so many other channels are that just give you what you want to hear. You've been really hurt. You've been, you know, devastated perhaps. But are you recognizing your codependency? Are you recognizing why you could get into a trauma bond with somebody with BPD, or for that matter somebody with NPD, but they're not the same because of what happened to you in childhood? Now, I've tried many different ways to say this, but it comes down to a question you need to ask yourself. Do you want to be right, if you even can establish that you are right, if they're BPD or they're NPD? Oh, when the borderline splits, it's all this other stuff happening. No, it is what it is, and I've explained it quite well on this channel. Are you trying to understand, or do you realize that you're trying to understand more about BPD beyond a certain point? And whether or not it's BPD, NPD, and don't they have traits of this, and when they split, their eyeballs are changing colors and all this stuff. More than understanding, see, what a lot of people who've been with somebody with BPD don't understand at all is the depth and breadth, width, scope of what actually BPD is before we even start talking about anything else. And again, I want to remind you that not all people with BPD are the same, that there are similar patterns, yes, but there's a spectrum of, so not everybody has it as severely as some people do. It's really important. I don't know if it's worth saying here anymore to people, but you need to look at your part in this, which doesn't mean you're responsible for what they do or how they behave, but why do you fuse love together with betrayal and other really painful, beyond painful treatment? Why was that okay for you? And more to the point, and I'm out here to work with you, I resonate with you, you need to get into therapy so that you can get out of the relationship, break up any relationship type, family, if it's a parent, if it's a sibling, If you were the favorite person, if it's a friend, if it's your significant other or was your significant other, whether they ghost you or you have to break up with them because it's not all the same. You need to get into therapy because you need to go no contact. You need to go full no contact. And many people can't do that. Many people struggle so much with that until they start working in therapy. So do you want to hear what you want to hear so that you can be right? Do you want to be, quote, righter, unquote, then do you want to be right more than you want to get well? Do you want to be right more than you want to know why is it that you need therapy? What do you need to know more about yourself to find yourself, to become an independent person as opposed to the fact that you're a codependent person? Do you want to be right more about the cluster B than about moving forward through therapy to find yourself to have healthy relationships and to be a happier person and to know yourself inside out and be comfortable in your own skin and not worrying about what other people are thinking about you or not? Because guess where this is another overlap between codependency and BPD, right? Because there are these overlaps. It's an overlap area because people with BPD, quote, right fight, unquote, all the time. So the reality that codependents are looking up this, looking up that, listening to like a lot of misinformation out there. If you come to my channel, you're going to get at least accurate information. Might not be what you want to hear, but it might really be what you need to know. And it might, more to the point, be really what you need to focus on. Because if you're trying to be, quote, right, you're trying to understand it all, and you think that that's going to bring you relief from cognitive dissonance or rumination, or somehow magically you can move on, and that type of thing. No, people don't really move on from these relationships without a great deal of therapy. And then, is it moving on or is it moving forward? So people with codependency are locked into this wanting to be right, thinking you need to understand it, thinking you need closure from them. This is all codependent, externalized out repetition compulsions to try to meet your, help your devastated, hurt self that's confused with cognitive dissonance and all the rest of what happens. You're looking to the very person that hurt you, who claim to, quote, love, unquote, you, and who you think you love, but who are they really, and how can you be loving them? Why are you still focusing on the borderline and all this information and the misinformation out there about BPD is a form of NPD, which it is not? Why do you feel like you need to be right and you're going to understand more about the borderline? Like, to what end? Because it's not your way forward. And I keep saying this on this channel, and probably a lot of people still don't want to hear it, but maybe if people don't stick around to hear it now, they'll come back to hear it later. You need to realize if you have codependency, you're trying to be right. You're trying to justify why you got so hurt, or still stick in there with hope, denial, that you can go back and do it again, and that somehow doing the same thing again with the same person with lack of treatment on your part and their part is going to yield any differences. That's the only insanity in all this, because people with BPD are not insane, people with NPD are not insane, people with codependency are not insane. So are you in a position where you want to be right? You want to understand this to a ridiculous degree because you think somehow that's going to create your way forward? Because it doesn't. It keeps people stuck in the unhealthy bond, and it keeps people stuck in their codependency, and often keeps people stuck in recycling the relationship, trying to stay friends with the borderline ex. None of that is in your best interest. You don't need to understand BPD, nor will you ever really, unless you, well, never mind even going to university. It depends on lived experience too. But you can't understand what's happening inside of them. So I get slammed all the time and trolled about, well, I couldn't possibly have recovered from BPD, but I did. So I know what it feels like on the inside to a degree, because I had pure BPD, mid-range spectrum, and I was labeled and not assessed, so I don't know if I had 4 traits or 5 traits, but it was no more than that, but it was still very difficult to deal with. And definitely needed to go through the healing recovery that I did to be able to be emotionally healthy. And that can happen for people with BPD. And why are there so many X's, exit BPD on YouTube or wherever online? They have to just keep saying that people with BPD can't heal and recover because that didn't, because they're still probably hurting and or angry or whatever, feeling cheated because that person they were with BPD didn't change, couldn't change, etc. And a person that a lot of you have been with or still are with BPD may well never change. But why is your focus there instead of what you need to do in therapy? Again, I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you, so that you can get out of the unhealthy relational pattern of codependency, and so that you can find a different way forward in your life. Never mind where the person with BPD is, isn't, why, the whys and the wherefores. People with codependency have to learn to let go of that, maybe unconscious to subconscious, but need to control the borderline because you don't know how to face your own pain. So keeping it real to help you get into your healing journey, because BPD is not a form of NPD, and codependency isn't BPD. So they each have overlaps. But when are you going to make you your priority and not the borderline or the narcissist or the crazy information out there that's just keeping you stuck, focused on the borderline or the narcissist? How can that possibly help? What do you think? Leave comments below.